Hello, this is Dan Farisi, Group Director of Content and Editorial, Industrial and Tech at Emerald. So happy to be joined today by Joe Burke, who is Market Director, Pro AV with Draper. Topic of conversation is, of course, InfoComm 2026. We all just got back. It was a fantastic show, and it was an especially fantastic show for Draper. What a booth presence. I loved having my tour there. Joe, thank you so much for joining me to be able to recap just some of what I saw when I was on site.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to be here with you.
So let's first talk about the booth theming. I have to say it was in easily the top three as far as booth theming that I saw at the show this year. For those who were not there who just want to relive it, why don't you tell us what that theming was all about?
Sure. That's one thing I'm actually, you know, very conscious of, and I'm trying to push Draper into a different way of doing things when it comes to shows like InfoComm. Last year we had a lot of fun with the Tiki Bar, and I think it surprised a lot of people that we did that. This year, because we work with themed entertainment so much, and we have a great privilege and opportunity to work in that sector. We do a lot of themed like rides and things like that, attractions. But when we talk to them and say, "Hey, we really would love to advertise what we do," they ask us not to do it, mainly because, and we understand it, they don't want to allow people to peek behind the curtain. They don't want to show how the magic's done. So that gave me the idea, and as I was sitting there thinking about that, I thought, well, let's give people the opportunity to have a little peek behind the curtain in our own small show style way. And so while I was sort of thinking about the idea and how I could get there, I remembered an attraction that I had done many, many years ago where King Kong was there. And I think it's sort of set on the Empire State Building, something like that. And that sort of idea started to develop in my head. I thought, hey, we could kind of replicate that. And so through that sort of evolution of conversation, working with my fantastic team at Draper, Amy Bradway, one of the people in our marketing team, she came up with the idea of that. Well, if we do King Kong, the 1920s is when that sort of came out. How about we lean into a modern version of that 1920s? And I was like, perfect. So everything was black and gold, like you'd see back in that time. And of course, we had King Kong there on the stand, well, in digital form at least. And as you saw, it all blended in fantastically.
It blended in absolutely fantastically. The motif was pitch perfect, as I say, easily among all those booths. I would say in the top three, just in terms of unified and really creative branding. So well done. But let's also talk about the products. I know we're going to talk about the rope walker, but why don't we start with Foundation?
Sure, and again, appreciate you saying all those nice things, and the team works very hard to deliver those things. Yeah, when it comes to Foundation, because we have a new quoting tool called Foundation Studio, that's why if you notice when you were there, the big banner across the top of the main stand said Foundation Studio, and of course that let us into creating that film set. And then on the back half of those wonderful LED displays was all the mounting hardware. And what we wanted to do was to show different examples of the types of mounting solutions that we can provide. Everything from Foundation One, which is a off-the-shelf stocked item that we can provide, on demand for our customers. That also has a trim package. The trim package has a two-piece section, so don't worry too much about how far off the wall that display is going to be. It has you covered. Through to our Foundation Origin, which is sort of the beginning of a sort of tailored solution to the needs of a project, depending on which LED manufacturer you're going to use. And then, of course, we have examples of what we do for themed entertainment and custom structures. So one of the structures actually had trussing on the back, and the mounts on that particular setup is off of one of the themed entertainment projects that we've done. And so that was a lot of fun to talk about. And then, of course, a curved structure, which, again, is taking this sort of basic technology, this sort of flat panel square technology, and allowing people to be more creative with it. And I think that's what's important, and that's really the what's driving us, is to allow people creativity with this type of technology, and allowing people to sort of push those boundaries. And that's been very exciting.
There's no doubt about it. If you are enabling and facilitating creativity, that is the absolute highest calling. So well done with that. I also want to talk briefly about the rope walker. I saw
Mm.
that was on display. I think that had been much anticipated in some quarters. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, with the rope walker, of course, it was a product that we'd had before, and we'd had some troubles with it. I think some of our customers would affirm that. And so what we decided to do was to stop, listen to what our customers are telling us, take that feedback, work with our amazing engineering team, and come up with a different design that would solve some of those concerns and those issues. And they've done again, they've delivered for us as they always do. The new rope walker is a little bit thinner. It's gone on a diet like I have. I still got a way to go though. The rope walker did a better job. It's a little bit thinner, it's a little bit shorter on the top, a little bit lighter. It's still a heavy product because it's what it does and how big it goes. But again, we've been able to sort of slim that down. The product itself will drop. It's sort of a case within a case, and it will drop 28 feet. So if you have a very high ceiling, like we were using in the halls that we're in, they had very high ceilings, and that's sort of a very good opportunity to use it. Or we tend to see a lot in house of worship, also some education areas where they have big high ceilings in like in the gymnasiums and things like that. It goes up to, if I remember rightly, 18 feet wide. So again, a nice large size screen. It can be available in black or white. It can be ceiling mounted and recessed, or it can be wall mounted. And again, it's just we've in some cases simplified the design to make it work a little bit better, but added some extra features like built-in low voltage control and things like that, just to make it really an installer's dream when it comes to that style of product.
Well, thank you so much for giving us a run through for those who did not have the good fortune to check out the Draper booth of everything you had on show in Las Vegas last week. For those who want to learn more, want to connect with you, want to learn about Foundation, want to learn more about that new rope walker, what's the best way they can do that? How can they engage with the Draper team?
Yeah, there's really a few ways. Of course, our website's always going to be a good option. So draperinc.com, a great place to go find all the information that you want specifically about products and things like that. Also, a great place to look at that Foundation Studio tool. So if somebody wants to do some creativity when it comes to LED structures, that is definitely a place to go. The rope walker. The new rope walker Aero will be available probably the end of Q3, so it's still got a few last minute tweaks to be made and get all of our marketing information ready. Another option, of course, is similar to you guys, following us on social media, checking us out on things like LinkedIn. We do have a couple of pages, one specifically for Draper, but one also for the Pro AV side. I've got a few videos out about InfoComm and things like that, so yeah, go check those out and follow along. And of course, there's always the telephone. The old-fashioned telephone. We still have a fantastic sales team that love to talk to you. So feel free to reach out to us at any point.
Well, one thing I can say from having done the Draper experience myself last fall, I can attest that your team is an absolute pleasure to work with. They love to engage. They're deeply earnest in terms of engaging with the channel and engaging with them in a really honest and forthright way. So I would always encourage everyone to reach out to the Draper team if and when the solution calls for it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that they always, we pride ourselves on. We are a family-run business. We've been around for a nearly 125 years. Next year will actually be our 125-year anniversary. So I need to think of something special for next year. But you don't last that long without being that kind of company. And we want to engage with people. We like to talk to people. So like yourself, Dan, and I appreciate this time to spend with you and your listeners and your viewers and things like that. That's who we are as a company. So yeah, reach out to us and come and say hi.
Thank you so much, Joe. Really do appreciate it. Pleasure to have been joined by Joe Burke, Market Director, Pro AV with Draper. My name is Dan Farisi, Group Director of Content and Editorial, Industrial and Tech at Emerald. Please do keep your eyes on commercialintegrator.com in the days and weeks ahead as we continue to wrap up all the greatest hits from InfoComm 2026. Thanks again for tuning in.